Yo, what up, man? This is Richawd back with another video. Now, I want to talk about this Shadeur Sanders situation, man. Now, for anybody who follows the NFL, the draft was yesterday. It continues on today, and Shadeur Sanders, a highly talked about prospect out of Colorado. You know, a lot of people expected him to go in the first round. See, I kind of knew they weren't going to draft Shadeur in the first round because what they like to do with certain, especially black, bro, with certain black athletes, bro, they try to make an example out of you. What do I mean by that? Here's Shadeur's issue, right? He doesn't fit the NFL narrative. You can't control a Shadeur because of Dion, right? See, Shadeur, he comes from a structure. The NFL, they don't like structured, intelligent athletes. It's harder to control you that way. I know this is a different league, but it's all the same stuff. It was talks about Jaylen Brown, who plays for the Celtics. One of the things that the scouts were saying about him and certain GMs were saying is, he may be more trouble than he's worth because he's too smart. It's literally out there. Look it up. They were saying Jaylen Brown is too smart. It's going to be hard for us to control him. You got to understand, these leagues, it's about control, right? It's about control and marketing. See, you're the one, the athlete, you're here to market the league, right? And the league wants to be marketed how the league wants to be marketed. The league don't really want to market somebody like Shadeur, bro. But the problem with Shadeur is he has like a kind of cult following him. You know what I'm saying? Because of the charisma and the energy that he carries. He has a certain polarizing effect that can bring ratings, that can bring views. So they're going to eventually draft him, but they're not going to draft him in the first round because it adds fuel to the story, to the polarizing effect of him, right? It's going to be people saying, oh, he should have got drafted early. Oh, they trying to blackball him. Oh, they trying to do this. They trying to do that. You're going to have the people that's in support of him. Like, man, look at what they doing to Shadeur. And then you're going to have the people that hate Shadeur. Like, yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get for wearing all them chains and wearing all that jewelry and talking highly of yourself and having confidence. Oh, now you got humbled. That's what we're seeing a lot. A lot of people are like, oh, he finally got humbled. People love to see people get humbled. Not just people get humbled, people with a high vision of themselves, a high image of themselves. And any good father, right? A good father, you're going to raise your son to have a high image of himself, confidence, because you're going to need that in this world, bro. You're going to need that in this world. You're going to need a high level of belief in yourself because it's a lot of people that are haters. It's a lot of negativity in this world, and people like to bring people down to earth because, people want to feel better about themselves and feel like everybody's human and everybody's on the same level, and everybody is human, right? But certain people are gifted at certain things. Certain people do have certain gifts and certain things that they're special at. They may be better in certain areas than other people. And a lot of people, they enjoy seeing people kind of get brought down to a level of humility. And it's really, really what it is, bro. Like I said, this is really the point of what's going on with Shadeur. He comes from a structure, bro. People hate that, right? Dion created a structure because Dion, he went out, he got out the mud. He played multiple sports in the 90s and 80s. He won Super Bowls. He's one of the greatest, some people say the greatest corner of all time. He also played wide receiver. Now he's going on to coach. He's become a great coach, a good to great coach, right? People don't like this, bro. People don't like the confidence that he raised his boys in because, like I said, the agenda with a lot of these leagues is, especially with black athletes, is what I see it with the most. It's the single mom, desperate. It's easy to control somebody from a background like that, right? Somebody who's living in desperation, somebody who's living in insecurity, somebody who isn't maybe not the brightest, right? You can make all these you can, you know what I'm saying, you can have all these GPAs and all that, but if you don't have common sense, these leagues can still manipulate you and control you, bro. I've seen a lot of athletes came out of college, came out of high school with 4.0s, 3.7s, 3.8s, bro, and still get puppeted by the league, bro. You know what I'm saying? Still make certain moves that, you know, somebody with common sense wouldn't make that move. Travis Hunter, from what I hear, is an exceptional scholar. You know what I'm saying? But it's certain moves that he making in real life that somebody with common sense wouldn't make, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that's, you know, GPAs is cool, education is cool, but you also got to have common sense, bro. You know, somebody can have a 2.0 GPA, but if they have common sense, they may go further, or they may not fall into certain pit holes that you may fall into, and you may be, you know, more book smart than them based off of your GPA. But based off of common sense, bro, you know what I'm saying? They may be smarter than you, you know, but I'm not going to get into all that. But the point being, bro, what's going on with Shadeur, bro? Like I said, it's a certain image that they don't want being put out there, bro. Right? They don't want young black boys looking up to Shadeur, but there's plenty of young black boys looking up to him. So what they got to try to do is they got to try to bring him down in certain ways, bro. You know, they're not going to make him a first round draft pick. You know, it's going to be certain things. He's probably going to be on the bench when he first starts off. You know, he's probably going to have to fight for a starting spot, whatever team he gets drafted by. I wouldn't be surprised if a team drafts him that already has a quarterback, bro. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets drafted by a good team that already has a quarterback. Now he got to go somewhere and he got a red shirt his first 1 to 2 years, bro. That's probably what's going to end up happening with him, bro. You know, because it has to be a certain humbling effect. They can't just have this certain snowball effect with Shadeur, bro, where he just comes into the league and he just takes off and he just dominates, bro. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be uncontrollable at that point. You know what I'm saying? And they want to be able to control Shadeur. And they hate him because of his confidence and his belief in himself. A lot of them are mad because he didn't go to the NBA Combine. They're like, oh, who are you to not go to the Combine? Woo up the bam, you know? So it's just a lot of little things that he's done because of his belief in himself. You know, he believes that he's good enough. He don't need to go. He done already showed what he can do in college. He don't... You know, he thinks the combine is a waste of time. I'm a quarterback. What am I going here showing y'all what you know, they show you what you basically max out on all your stuff, bro. Like you got a bench and you got to run your 40 and all that. He like, bro, I don't need to do all that, bro. How's this going to show you what type of quarterback I am? And you see a lot of athletes, they go to the combine and they put up great stats, bro. They, you know what I'm saying? And then it doesn't translate to the actual game, bro. You know? So he's kind of outworking the system a little bit because the combine, like I said, for some people it's good, but for a lot of players, bro, the combine is outdated. It you know what I'm saying? You can run a 40 and it may not be, say you run like a 4.5 or a 4.6, but you got game speed though. You know what I'm saying? There's certain players that it's other players, they got a higher 40 than you, but they not getting open like you are. You know what I'm saying? They can't run routes like you can run. You know what I'm saying? They don't got the game speed that you got, you know? So the combine is good, but it's really not going to show you the type of player you're getting, especially a quarterback, bro. You're not really going to learn a lot about a quarterback just throwing with no defense and none of that, bro. All right, cool. He can throw the ball 60, 70 yards with nobody guarding him, with no big old lineman coming to tackle him, right? But what's going to happen when you got to throw the ball and it's people defending you, bro? You know, and the pocket is collapsing and you got to run. You're not going to learn that in the combine, bro, with all these. You're not going to learn that, bro. And that's why Shadeur didn't go. He's like, man, if you want to know the type of quarterback I am, watch the film, bro. You know what I'm saying? Watch the film, bro. And that'll show you what I am, bro. You feel me? But a lot of people hate him for taking that route, bro. How dare you? You know, you got to do it just like how everybody else did. You got to go to the combo. You got to do this, Shadeur. Like, bro, I don't got to do all that, bro. You feel me? And hey, maybe it cost him a first round draft pick. Maybe if he would have went along to get along, you know, because it's a go along to get along game, bro. And if you don't go along, and Shadeur, he's going to have to go along to a certain degree if he wants to play in the NFL. I mean, let's be real. They're not just going to let him do his own thing. And it looks like they making him find that out the hard way. You're not just going to be here doing your own thing, bro. You know? So as long as we playing in these other people's leagues and all that, you got to kind of play by their rules, bro. So they're gonna. Shadeur is probably gonna have to dumb down a lot of what he does, bro. You know, because the league is just gonna be hating on him, bro. They probably gonna be fining him for. I think he was getting fined in college for wearing certain jewelry or for certain celebrations. I wouldn't be surprised if the league starts fining him for celebrations and all these things. You know, this is what they do to kind of, you know, dim that light a little bit. You know, to kind of bring you down to the level of the rest of the players. You know, and to me, it takes away that. You know, you need players like Shadeur, you know, a confident, you know what I'm saying, flashy player, bro. You need players like that in the league, bro. It adds balance. You don't want all the players just being the same, being robotic. You don't want the NFL to turn into what the NBA has turned into. You know, an analytical nerd league. Oh, 3 is worth more than 2, so everybody chuck up a bunch of 3s. Like, it's taking the nuance out of the game. Like, no, like, you got to play to the strengths of your team. If you got a player that's real good at getting downhill and getting to the rim, then the majority of his touches should be set up on getting downhill and getting to the rim. You know, if you got a real good post player, the majority, but they've taken that away. They've taken the post game away. It's all about 3s and layups now. They're trying to take away the mid range. It's all about 3s and layups now. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, back to Shadeur. Yeah, bro, they just humbling him, bro. That's what they trying to do, bro. They trying to humble him. But last I saw him, he's still in good spirits. He's still laughing. Like, you know, that's like I said, Deion did a great job as a father, bro. You know, how Shadeur is dealing with this, what can be seen as embarrassment. He out there with all his jewelry on, with all this, the whole family out there. They expected him to get drafted, and he ain't get drafted. I knew they was going to do this to him, bro. I knew it. I knew they was going to do it. I knew they was going to make him sweat, bro. And that's all they doing. They making him sweat, bro. He probably going to end up getting drafted the 3rd or 4th round, bro. Maybe even later, bro. Like, they really going to make him sweat, bro. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they send him to a team. They probably going to send him to the very team that Deion and them said he didn't want to go to. See, it's cool when Peyton Manning's father does it, right? Y'all see? I'm not trying to make this about race, but let's be real, bro. Let's be real, bro. If he was white, bro, pulling these power moves and he had a father with money and with high prestige and esteem, you know, they let Peyton Manning and them father do it. He like, hey, don't draft him to this team, bro. I want my son in New York. And they sent that boy to New York. Deion doing the same thing, and now they giving him all this trouble. If it was a white boy, he said, I don't want to go to the combine, this, that, and the third, they wouldn't care. It wouldn't be a headline. But it's a black player trying to make power moves. They don't want you making power moves like that, bro. I'm trying to tell y'all. Some of y'all may think I'm thinking too deep into it. Oh, why you make everything about race? I'm just looking at it, bro. It's a lot of dudes hating on Shadeur, and I don't understand why. You mad at him because he wearing jewelry? What's wrong with jewelry, bro? What's wrong with jewelry? Jewelry has been around for a long time, bro. Especially so-called blacks. We've been wearing jewelry for a long time, bro. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with having confidence in yourself? What's wrong with believing in yourself? What's wrong with having a strong household, a strong structure? You know? What's wrong with not being desperate? See, that's the problem. A lot of people are hating on Shadeur because he's not the typical nigga. He's not a nigga, right? That's the problem. You know, what the NFL loves, what the NBA loves, what they love is the single mom. And I even heard like they gave Kevin Durant this single mom storyline, and his father was in his life, bro. That's crazy. I seen somewhere they were saying Kevin Durant beat his father for the first time at like 11 years old. I'm like, his father? Mr. You're the real MVP, woo up the bam, his father? Why am I just now hearing about Kevin Durant's father? You know what I'm saying? Like for real, bro. Y'all see what they doing, bro. Y'all see what they doing. It's almost like ever since 1993 when Michael Jordan's father got, you know what I'm saying? What happened to him, bro. It's like the league shifted from this, you know. Even Magic Johnson, he had his mother and his father, bro. Like, you feel me? Now the league is shifted into the single mom. You know, you had Iverson coming. You know what I'm saying? Now, we had Kobe. Kobe had his dad in his life and all that, you know. But the storyline that they run with, bro, is the single mom narrative, bro. Came from the hood, came from nothing. They hate the narrative when you came from a structure. Right? When you came from a father with money, with wealth, with resources, and a good father. right? That raised you to be a good athlete, you know, a good to great athlete. He has the potential to be great. I'm not going to give him great yet. He has the potential to be great, but a good athlete, bro. Made it all the way to the pro level, bro. And they hating on him. Same thing they did to LeVar Ball, bro. Now everybody flipping the script, and now they love LeVar Ball. Oh my God, LeVar is such a great father. But in the beginning stages, bro, they was tearing this man down, bro. Why? Because he believed in his sons, bro. That's literally all he did, bro. Like when you really dig deep on LeVar Ball, what did he do so bad to be called? It was certain people saying he the worst father in the world, bro. What did he do so bad to get called something like that? Believing in his son, being a black man that believes in your boys, and saying your boys is going to be special, and all three of them are special at what they do, right? Lonzo, unfortunately, he's been hit with the injury bug. Hopefully, we'll see how much longer his career lasts. LaMelo, he the golden child, and LiAngelo, he got the swagger. He the ladies guy. So you know what I'm saying? He done found his lane with rapping and all that. So all his boys done figured it out, bro. And all his boys carry themselves with confidence. And who instilled that in them? They father, bro. They damn father, bro. Dion, all his boys, bro. Even Shiloh, confident. Shiloh, no, he might not even get drafted, but he out there laughing and joking, bro. That's confidence. They hate that. They hate your will. They hate your drive. They hate your belief. They hate that no matter how many times you get knocked down, you get back up, bro. They hate that. Right? They don't want that image being perpetuated throughout the hood. They don't want young little boys in the hood looking up to Shadeur, looking up to LeVar Ball and them. They don't want you looking up to that, right? They don't want you believing that no matter how dire your circumstance is, that you can get out of it if you believe and if you apply yourself. They don't want these certain positive messages surrounding the black man. They want this feminized, soften, weaken image. That's why damn near every movie you see, they got to put an LGBTQ black dude in the movie, bro, because they got to perpetuate that. Damn near every movie I see, these new movies, bro, is always a black dude that's LGBTQ in it. And I ain't got no problem with that, but I ain't got no problem with you being LGBTQ, but I do have a problem with the over promotion of it, especially in the black community. I have a problem with that, bro. But I'm going to end the video there, man. That's my whole thing on the whole Shadeur Sanders situation. They going to make that boy sweat, man. They going to make him sweat because he's a confident black male. He's flashy. He got charisma. The ladies like him. You know what I'm saying? The fans like him. It is what it is, bro. So they going to make that boy sweat, bro. You know what I'm saying? They going to make him sweat just out of hatred, bro. That's really what it boils down to. Out of hatred, bro. That's really what it boils down to. The same way they did LeVar's sons, bro. They made that boy, even though Lonzo, he was a second overall pick, so they didn't really make him sweat. It really would have been bad if he got drafted in like the second round or something. But Lonzo Ball was one of the top players in college. So if you don't draft him, you know what I'm saying, in the first or second round in the NBA, that'll just be glaring. See, the NFL, we've seen players be the top player in college, like Lamar Jackson. I think he was player of the year in college, bro. And he got drafted like 32 or something like that. Like at the end of the first round, they made him sweat. When now looking at hindsight, he should have been one of the top picks, bro. So that's just how it is, bro. That's just the business of these leagues. That's just the business of the NFL. They got to cater to their audience. Their audience is more of a conservative. That's where their money come in, bro. That conservative side, bro. They've never been a liberal type league, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say Shadeur and them are liberal. That's just to say, they kind of do things their own way, bro. And they carry themselves a certain way, bro. And the league don't want that, bro. They want a bunch of people in that league that can be easily controlled, easily manipulated by money. You can't manipulate Shadeur by money. He got money, right? He got money. So most of these players, they can be easily manipulated by money. Oh, well, if you do this or if you promote this, I give you a signing bonus. I give you a $2 million signing bonus. This, you know what I'm saying? Shadeur, like, man, I don't care about that. If it ain't something I don't want to do, I'm not gonna do it, bro. And they don't want players like that. They don't want players that can outthink the system, bro. You know what I'm saying? They want players that don't think. They want players that just sign. Here, sign this paper. Sign this paper. If you think, they don't want you, bro. Shadeur, he thinks. And on top of that, he has a successful, wealthy father backing him, bro. But that's just my whole thing on the Shadeur thing, bro. They gonna draft him, right? Because he's gonna be good for ratings. The league can't deny that. And he's a good player, bro. You know what I'm saying? He ain't win nothing in college, bro, but he brought Colorado, who was irrelevant. I think they won like 1 or 2 games before he got there, and he brought them to relevancy. People want to talk about how he didn't win nothing in college. Let's talk about how he brought an irrelevant school, an irrelevant franchise, and turned their whole school around, made people want to go, made their school all type of money, bro. They're not going to talk about how much money them boys made Colorado, but they're going to talk about how, oh, he ain't win nothing there. That's all they're going to talk about, bro. It just shows the hatred towards that brother, man. When they know if he was in one of these, top colleges where they getting all the best players and all that, bro, he probably would have won something, or he would have had a better chance to win something. But he went to a smaller school, whoop the bam, that didn't have much talent, won 1 game before he got there, and he brought them to relevancy, bro. And that shows me that he's a winner, bro. Because a lot of people, they go to losing situations, bro, and they don't have those leadership qualities where they can bring a losing situation and bring that to a winning situation. That shows if you're a leader or not. When you can get the best out of your group. You may not be able to win a championship. Y'all may not be good enough to win the championship, but you can get them to compete. Deion, Shadeur, all of them, they was able to get that Colorado team to a level where they can compete. Bro, any given Saturday, they can beat somebody or they can get beat, right? But before you got there, bro, they was mostly just getting beat. Any given Saturday, they're probably going to lose, right? But they ain't going to give him credit for that, bro. Like I said, it's just hatred, bro. People just hating on him, bro, because he comes from a successful family. He got money, and he flashes his money. They like I said, they hate a flashy nigga, bro. They hate a flashy nigga, but, those that know our history, we've always been flashy. Going all the way back to the Egyptian times, all type of stuff. We've always walked around with gold. They was in Egypt living in gold, bro. It's certain, bro. I'm telling you, we've always been flashy people, bro. Some say, we the salt of the earth, bro. We've always done things with a different swagger, with a different energy. And there's certain people that just hate on that. They want you to be lame and bland and do everything basic like them. And when you do things on a different level, they hate on it, bro. When secretly they want to be like it, secretly they start copying it. They was hating on Allen Iverson for how he dressed and the headband and the sleeve band. Now you got all type of players wearing sleeve bands, leg bands, headbands. But when he first started doing it, they was hating on it, bro, because it was different, right? It was different. They always hate on something that's different in the beginning, and then after a while, they start to respect it secretly. But, man, I think Shadeur, he going to be all right, man. You know what I'm saying? They just going to make that brother sweat, bro. This ain't the end of it, bro. The NFL draft is just the start of it, bro. They going to make him work, bro. And I think this is a good thing, bro. I think this is a good thing, bro, because God gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors, bro. So that boy, you know what I'm saying, he going to have to go through a lot, bro. He probably going to have to fight for a starting spot. He may have to demand a trade to another team where he may have a better opportunity. All these things may be down the boat for Shadeur, bro. They're not going to make it easy for him, bro. They're not going to open up the red carpet like they did Peyton Manning, bro, and be like, here, we give you New York. Like, no, they're not going to do that for him. He going to really earn it, bro. He going to really show up and show out, bro. And I believe he has the capabilities to do it, bro. But there's going to be little room for error with him, right? People are just waiting for him to be a bust. People are just waiting for him to fail, right? So any little thing they can use, they're any little thing they're gonna blow it out of proportion because it's Shadeur, and it's just out of hatred for him. But I'm out, man.